Super 17 broke the meta, and because of his abilities, people are convinced that nobody can beat him when he's Super 17. Which is why I'm going to show exactly how you can counter Super 17 easily. I'm going to talk about on what to do exactly when facing him, while breaking down his abilities. Let's start with his green card. We know that he can absorb your blast attacks by using his green card. If he lands it successfully, he will remove your vanish, lock you in, and lock your rush, which is pretty OP. But what I recently found out is that if Super 17 is close enough, you can use an AoE green card to stop him from starting a combo. But you also have to make sure you have more than 50 ki, because when uses his green card, he removes your ki by 50. And I also found out that he can only absorb ki blasts, which means rocks and bullets counter his green card. Next, let's talk about his special cover change against strike cards, which is an AoE that will damage your entire team and heal his own, which is really good. But there is a problem with that because most characters in the meta have cover nullification. But if they do manage to get the special cover change, the best hope would be to switch to a tanky unit. Next, let's discuss what to avoid doing against Super 17. I see too many players abusing their blast armor against Super 17 because on his kit, it clearly says that he inflicts blast damage by 170%. And this can damage your unit significantly if you're not careful. So try to use blast armor when you absolutely have to. His blasts also have paralysis, where he has a 50% chance to paralyze you when he uses a blast art. And he gets a lot of blast cards because he is a blast-based unit. My advice would be to bring a special blast cover change unit like Red Beast or Blue 17, so they can stop Super 17 before he inflicts you with paralysis. Now let's move on to his card seal. He is able to seal one of your cards for 10 timer counts just by using a blast art, and he can reset the time by using more blasts. Since he is a blast-based unit, he can get way more blast cards than strikes, which makes him a really broken unit. But there is a way I usually counter that, and that is to tank it using a blue unit like LF Spirit Bomb Goku until he unseals my card. Where now I will show which teams I use to counter Super 17. I will also be mentioning some replacements for some units if you don't have them. Most of the time, I like to use the Saiyans team because I have 2 Rush Control blue units to counter Super 17 and I have Ultra UI to do damage. Of course, if you don't have certain units like LF Spirit Bomb Goku, then you could replace him with Go Frieza. Since there is a lot more greens running around, Go Frieza would be an essential unit on top of being a rush control. If you don't have Barku, there are some other replacements like Pecan Gogeta. He is a really good defense unit, if not better than Barku, because the amount of green cards he can get will help the team. If you don't have Pecan, you can still use Orange Piccolo. In terms of Ultra UI, you can use Ultimate Gohan, but that kind of changes this team to Sun Family. The next team I would like to talk about is Sagas from the movies. Before I start, I want to mention that I don't have Ultra Janemba. That's why I'm using my friend's account to show as an example. For this team, I'm using Janemba, Red Beast, and Piccolo. Janemba will be your main attacker for Super 17. Red Beast will assist Janemba with major attacks with his Vanish removal, and Piccolo can be used to sustain damage. On the topic of replacements, there's not much that can change with Red Beast, since he is such a good offensive unit. There are the Gammas, but having a yellow except Ultra UI might be too risky. The same could be said about Janemba. You could switch him out with normal 17, but it might have poor synergy. But I would recommend swapping Piccolo with Pecan, because he has a better kit than Piccolo. If you don't have either of them, then Pan still is a good option. She can be really useful, especially with the amount of green cards she gets. The last team I want to talk about is this hybrid Saiyans team. I mentioned before that Super 17 can't absorb rocks. So that's why I'm using the new Bula Vegeta assist. And Pan, they are a pretty decent counter to Super 17, and I have Red Beast to use as the main attacker. Bula can be used as a good counter to green units on top of disrupting Super 17's absorption. The same can be said about Pan, because she again can get really good green cards. You don't have to use 2 support units if you want to make more of a Saiyans team, where you can use pretty much any meta-relevant units, like Barku as a rush control, GT Goku, and more. That if you want to use Bula, then this is probably the best team for her. If you don't have either of the support units, then I would recommend using Magenta. He is a really good support, on top of being an explosive unit like Perfect Cell. Hope you enjoyed! Hope you join our Discord server for more tips, and subscribe to never miss a single upload.